Welcome to the Winter Series 6.
Yeah! Ourselves a carp there, boy! You see that one coming, didn't we? Oh, mate. Yeah.
Them cold, crisp mornings are now upon us, and that can mean only one thing. The Winter Series has now started. We're fortunate enough to kickstart things off at a very beautiful lake in Cambridgeshire, a 70-acre gravel pit that is Grenville. Grenville needs no introduction inside the carp fraternity world. There is over 2,000 carp that swim around in this 70 acres of water, and there is at least 4 to 5 60-pounders that are in here at the right time of year. You may notice behind me that the rods are already out. As with this time of year, you're always racing to get the rods out before the light fades. Last night I got here with my partner in crime, Mark Bartlett, that's fished here a few times before as well, and he's had a little bit of success whilst fishing here along the way. We're both not members of the venue, so we're lucky enough to be in the cabin swim. Stock-wise inside Grenville, there is a lot of monsters that swim around in here, and at the right time of year you've got 4 to 5 60-pounders. There is at least 30 fish over 50 pound, around about 140 of them are 40 pound as well, and the rest of the stock is made up with 20s and 30s. Now don't let that fool you, of course, by thinking that this place is easy. By no means, this place can be extremely tough. The swim that we're currently in at the moment hasn't done a bite for at least the last 5 to 6 weeks. So we're going to be up against it with this. So we've got a couple of nights ahead of us, and we're going to be showing you some of our tips and tactics that we're both going to be using at this venue in the hope that we can put a fish onto the bank.
Well, welcome. Nice to be back out at the start of another winter series. Now, as Mozza mentioned, we're at Grenville Lake, and firstly, what a lake. It is absolutely brilliant here. I've been fortunate to fish it beforehand. I've fished a couple of swims on here, and I've caught some very, very big carp out of both swims that I've fished. And it's a different kettle of fish, you know, that was a different time of year that I fished, and now sort of we're in winter mode. We're not in autumn mode. It is now definitely feels like winter. However, when you're gifted an opportunity to come and fish a lake like this, yeah, we're here. So we're here. We're gonna have a go. We're gonna try and catch. We've set our sights on one carp between us, and that is purely for the fact is that we're in a booked swim. The fish aren't really on us at the moment. There's been some fish caught out to the left, out in the main body of water, and we're like on a bit of an entrance to a bay. There's like a big shallow bar here, and we're hoping that the fish can come round and onto us. And the fishing's really simple. It's a boilie only approach, and the fishing's very, very basic fishing. These fish are big because they eat, and they love just quality boilies. Yeah, it's bait and weight fishing. You know, it's not a lot you can do. We can't move, so we've literally got to find the best spots we can, get some traps set on there with some decent rigs, quality bait, and just cross our fingers and cross our toes, and we're going to yeah, we're going to have a nice social session anyway. We've got a nice barbecue to be had. We've got some nice food to stick on there, a couple of ciders, and just chill out. With the sort of current situation that's going on in the country, there's worse places to be. There's people living under bridges, whatever, and we're out here fishing a wonderful lake full of beautiful big carp, and we're just gonna absorb that, and it'll be what it'll be. Yeah, so one carp we'll be doing cartwheels. Any more than that, yeah, we'll just start with one carp. One carp will be absolutely lovely from this session.
So I've just got all 3 rods in, ready to get them ready for the night ahead of us. And yeah, pretty simple fishing for me on here. To the right hand side of the cabin swim, there is one of the halo marker poles out there, which is an area that gets fed obviously regularly. That's why the pole is out there. I don't know the sort of rigmarole behind it all on, how often it gets fed, etc. But I would imagine a lot of people that fish in this swim probably fish out to that zone, and no doubt it's always sort of got bait on it. Now, I'm incapable of fishing, sort of 38 wraps out, which I believe is what Bart's doing. So I'm going to fish effectively at a range that I'm comfortable at, which is only 21 wraps, to be honest. So it's not a million miles out, but I know that if I try and hit, sort of them 38 wraps and over, then I'm not going to be fishing to my best of my ability, because I will not be able to bait accurately at that range, and the spot will be going everywhere and it'll be a bit of a nightmare. So I'm going to fish at a comfortable range, like I say, out to this halo pole. The beauty with that pole is it's got some reflective tape on it, so even at night you can bait accurately to that pole by having a head torch on. Last night I put a head torch on and it shone the reflective tape that's on the pole, and you could see the spot land into it. Now I'm actually fishing sort of with hinge stiff rigs, I suppose, but with the supple boom. Some people call it the reverse combi link, I suppose some people call this rig. Yeah, it's basically just that chod section there with a supple boom, 2 bits of putty on the rig just to help pin all that bit down. And I've got myself a 12mm white bug pop-up on there and a 14mm white bug pop-up, and then I'm fishing one rod just off of the bait, which is on a yellow PB, one of my favourite hook baits that is, especially for the winter time. PB stands for pineapple and banana, and we all know that carp love a pineapple and banana hook bait. So that's basically my tactics going in. Now the rules here, you have to use at least 18 inches of tubing. You're only allowed 3-ounce lead. So again, for me, getting it out at mega range like what Bart's doing, I just know that I wouldn't be able to do that. So like I say, fishing at 21 wraps, fishing to my best of my ability at that sort of range, baiting accurately out there as well, and yeah, so that's the motto really. I'm going to change these for fresh hook baits now. I've just obviously reeled these in, get them changed up with exact same hook baits again, freshen them up, get them back out towards the pole out there, and then I'm going to put a little bit more bait in tonight and show you the sort of way that I'm doing it. Well, basically how a lot of people on it, because it's obviously boilie only fishing, which Bart's already explained to you, then how I like to fish is sort of with a lot of boilie crumb. And what I'm actually doing is balling up the crumb and then putting that ball, so it's almost like a ground bait ball as such, bonded together with some of the bug hydro spod syrup. It's binding that sort of ground bait ball or mulched up boilie crumb binding it all together, putting that inside the spod, and then what that does is it allows for all that crumb to get to the bottom in one sort of clump as such sort of thing. So I suppose ideally you would probably want to fish a solid bag out there, because you're going to have a lot of clumps of boilie crumb on the bottom, but there's a little bit of low-lying silkweed out there, so that's why I've sort of opted for these rigs out on that spot. And like I say, 2 of them are going to be on the bait, and the other, the PB, is going to be at least half a rod length off to the right hand side. So that's sort of my tactics as such. We'll catch up with Bart and how he's fishing this place. Like I say, we're only after that one bite, and I'm just hoping it's going to be that one of them 60 pounders that swim around in here. I believe the big one that swims around in Grenville tends to only get caught in this sort of area of the lake a majority of the time. So fingers crossed that fish is almost, you know, this is his territory, and you get that with a lot of big fish on some lakes where they just don't tend to get caught anywhere else on the lake other than a certain part of it. And that's what I'm setting my stall out for, really, is in the hope that that big un sort of lives in this zone and he might tip down on what I'm going to be offering him.
So with Grenville's boilie only policy, and that's in place to help these fish grow, and I completely understand it. You know, Paul's got a venue here, and what he's trying to, well, not what he's trying, but what he's actually achieving is growing massive, beautiful carp. You know, that's only for our benefit as anglers. You know, he's not growing them for just his personal gain. He's growing them for us to come and catch great big carp like this. And so just with having, you know, most of the guys that fish here, they're totally on board with it as well. Like, you know, these boilies is proven that, you know, boilies grow big fish. With this boilie only approach, it's perfect. The fishing's so nice and simple. Like, you haven't got to mess about like with little bits and bobs. I've obviously got some baits here. So like with Grenville, a few of the lads that are doing really well using the bug on here. So that's what I've brought with me. It's an absolute no-brainer. There's been some massive fish caught on this bait from here this year. And yeah, I know it's like, you know, some of the lads that regularly fish here do really, really well on it. And me not coming all the time, it's just a no-brainer for me to be using this bait. And yeah, like, it is a lovely bait, you know, to boot. But the way that I'm going to prepare it's dead simple. Just got some boilies that I normally, you know, you'd have seen in other videos, that I just soak overnight the night before I go in. I've only got a few left in this bucket now. I've got some 12s in here. These have been soaking in some bug food liquid with a little bit of bug hydro syrup as well. They're really nice and soft. You can smash them up however you want, just fracture them up a little bit. Then I've got some that are soaked, some really nice crumb boilie. It's not like complete crumb, it's not like, you know, like a ground bait. It's just a bit smashed up, and in there I've got some hydro syrup, some bug hydro syrup, and a tiny little bit of bug food liquid, you know. And that, if I squeeze it, you can see all the juice just coming out of there, and that's just soaking in, just absorbing in. This lake is very deep, and one thing I've always noticed with my fishing on deep waters is that, one, I tend to use a bit more bait than what I would if it was shallow, and two, you know, the flavour profile and actually introducing and how important like liquids are for this sort of fishing is, you know, is massive. It can transform your, you know, your weekend's fishing just by using a really good, decent liquid in with your baits. I'm going to be using 12mm, 15mm soaked bug boilies, bit of crumb, loads of liquid, and not only that, the liquid as well. It's giving me a great casting weight when I'm spomming. You know, we've got a slight breeze coming into us, and I want to fish as, you know, potentially as far out as I can. And yeah, it just all adds to it. You know, you've got a really nice flavour package, and yeah, it's a very simple approach, but also very effective, especially when you're on the fish. Well, good morning. An uneventful night is what it is. You know, this is winter fishing. It's winter big fish fishing all over, and you've just, you know, like I've always said, you've always just got to be in that right spot. It doesn't matter what you're doing, how you're doing it, what colour bait you got on, what rig you got. It's got to be in the right place. I stayed up into the early hours just listening for fish, walking down to my right just to see if there's any fish in the bay, and nothing. But I did hear a few fish, and they were sort of long out to my left, the other side of the cables, out in the middle of the pond. And I've had a coffee and spoke to Paul this morning, and he seems to think that there's a couple of lads going on the far side, and they're going to be off. They're going to be off in a bit, so I'm going to have a mooch over there. He's going to let us out on the pond, which is really nice of him. And hopefully, if we can get a swim over there, then maybe we can just get on a few fish. I just feel like they're in that main body of water. Like I say, that's the only place I've seen or heard any fish. And yeah, I think if we can get over there, then we could definitely, you know, possibly just get that one bite, that one fish that we're looking for at the moment. It's definitely the area that we need to be looking at to fish.
Well, good morning. A totally different morning to yesterday, that's for sure. We've got a lot of fog that's moved in, and you can't really see a lot out at the pond at the moment. But like Bart said, he heard a few fish sloshing the other side of them cables late last night, which is where we saw them yesterday morning as well. They are obviously out in that body of water there. So yeah, we're lucky enough to be able to move today at some point. I'm not too sure what time we're going to be able to move. Bart's going to go round, obviously speak to the guys that are on that opposite bank there. I believe the pegs that might be coming free is pegs 17 and 16. So I believe that's the pegs that we're aiming to get into, which will give us access to them fish that are out in the body of the water over there. No bite, no liners, no nothing last night. We didn't hear any fish out here whatsoever. The lake's not too busy, which is why I think Paul's allowing us to move, because that's not the sort of general rule here. So yeah, we're hopeful that we can sort of salvage something from this session. Like I say, if we can get on fish, then that is the main thing to obviously do, whether it's winter, summer, or you know, it's what you need to be doing. You need to be on fish. Doesn't matter what you've got on the end. If you've not got fish in front of you, you're not going to catch them. So Bart's going to go round, speak to the guys that are in them two pegs, find out sort of what time they're off today, and then I believe we're both going to move round to that area.
Swim now. Seen a couple of fish earlier, definitely sort of like in the middle and towards this bank. When I say towards this bank, they're still a very long way out from here. Just chatting to some of the regulars that fish here, and they reckon there's approximately about 20-25 acres of water that is actually unreachable by anglers on this lake, out in the middle, which is, you know, that's the size of most lakes that I fish. So there's an awful lot of water that you can't get to. They know that, but I'm going to get set up as quickly as I can. Chatting to those lads, they were saying that sort of like going into evening and like the first few hours of darkness up to sort of like midnight has been the best time for bites that they found in recent weeks. So yeah, I'm going to get my house popped up, get some rods sorted, and yeah, get them out as quickly as I can, just to see if we can get something to happen. But I definitely feel like, you know, a little bit of a breath of fresh air. I feel like if we can get a bite, it's definitely going to be from here. So fingers crossed, let's get on with it. when just getting the rods ready. I'm going to go for the same tactic on all 3 rods, and that is the good old solid bag. You can't beat, just for nicking a bite, you cannot beat a solid bag. Dead simple, 4-inch uncoated braid, a size 6 hook, and on that I've just got a little 10mm milky malt, a white one, and I've done the same. You know, I'm going to do the same on all 3 rods. Because of the depth that we're fishing in as well, I'm going to double bag this. Normally I wouldn't bother, but it is quite deep out there, so I'm going to double bag these, you know, this PVA bag, and also I'm going to inject some liquid into it as well, so having 2 bags would definitely help with that. So I'll just run you through the process. One other thing as well is boilie only on here, so you're not allowed any pellets. So obviously I know that I was coming here a couple of weeks ago, and at home, because when you just crush up boilies and try and put them in a PVA bag, they have got like an element of moisture in them. So what I've done is I've absolutely blasted some boilies at home in the liquidizer, and then I've put them out on a tray for a week or so, just to sort of air dry, so all the moisture can get out of the boilie crumb, just to make it a little bit easier for me to compact the bag and get a really nice tight parcel of bait, because obviously I want to be fishing them at range. So the tighter and the neater I can make the actual PVA bag, the further I'm going to be able to cast it. So just dry the rig off in the boilie crumb. That'll just save anything getting, you know, you don't want to be tying a bag up and then halfway through have your bag start melting. Gonna get me bag, hook bait straight into the corner, little bit of crumb straight in the bag. Now I don't put too much in, probably only about 5 or 6 mil in the bottom of the bag, and the reason for this is I want to get the lead straight in the bottom of the bag, because the closer it is to the front of the bag, the better it'll fly. Get a bit of crumb in the bag, sort of just half fill the bag to start with, and then you can just pick that lead up a little bit and just situate it nice and plumb centre of the bag. A little bit more crumb. Right, then all you need to do then is, these are non-perforated bags, so just stab a couple of little holes in the bag, and then this, when you're tightening this down like that, that will help the air, because obviously I'm trapping it with my fingers at the top, so when I'm twisting it, that will help the air get out the bag. A little bit more tape, just tie that off, so just whiz round a couple of times. Just be careful you don't pull the tubing or the stem out the top of the lead. Tie him off. Right, you want to give it a nice little trim now, because we're going to double bag it, so you can trim this PVA off as much as you like that. Then you can see there you got the corners and the bottom of the bag. Just lick that, seal that down, and then you want to tuck the corners in. Then you can really start to shape the bag now. You know, you can imagine the more it's like a bullet, the further and the better it's going to fly for fishing at range. Now sometimes you can have a bit of a mare sliding it in the second bag, but I've got a little tip for that. If you open your bag, when you open your bag up, if you just get a bit of the crumb and shake it about in the bag, and then get your bag, do the same. What it does is it gets loads of like little dusty particles on the bag and in the inside of the bag. So when you go to slide this bag inside of that bag, you'll get it on a lot easier. And then again, so pinch down, give it a twist. Another bit of PVA. You've got to remember, like, we're fishing in, I don't know, 32, 34 foot of water out there. So you want to ensure that the bag actually gets to the bottom. You wouldn't want it breaking up halfway down. That wouldn't be any good. You know, it's going to be out there for a while, so you want to make sure you do it right. It takes a bit of time doing these sort of bags, but at the end of the day, you're leaving them out there for, you know, we're not in a like a match fishing situation, so they're going to be out there 4, 6, 8, 10 hours, whatever they're going to be out there for. So just do it the once, do it right, make sure it's, you know, make sure it's perfect. That's the bag tied. The only other thing I'm going to do, and it sort of benefits a couple of things, is I'm going to put some salmon oil in there. I'm going to inject the bag, I'm going to fill it right up with salmon oil, just because, one, the depth of water we're fishing in, that's going to keep puffing off attraction, you know, for the whole time the bag's out there. And not only that, and secondly, because of the 3 ounce casting weight limit, this is just going to add some extra weight to the bag, which will just help it go a little bit further. You don't want, you know, the less air you have in the bag, the denser it is, the further it's going to fly. So you can see the bag starting to swell there. When you see it starting to swell, just a couple of stabs in the top of the bag. This will give you a really solid casting weight. You know, that's a lot heavier now. That's going to travel a lot better and just leak off attraction for the whole time that the bag's in the water. That wasn't a very good cast, that one.
So Bart's all got set up in his swim now, peg 17, and unfortunately I've got to wait for the guy that's in the swim next door to leave his swim. I don't want to go putting kit behind him or anything like that. It's just bad etiquette doing something like that, you know, and trying to push someone out the swim as much as I want to get in there, obviously. I think I'm going to be having to chuck my baits out or my rigs out tonight in the darkness. I'm more than likely going to do a similar thing to what Bart's doing by chucking solid bags out there, you know. So I'm going to pinch some of his boilie crumb, do the exact same thing that he's done, put 3 solid bags out into the blackness tonight in the hope that one of the rods might sing. So in the meantime, I think we're going to get a little bit of food on. I'll wait for the guy to leave the swim next door, then I'll go and get everything set up, no doubt, in the darkness.
Well, good morning. An uneventful night, I'm afraid. I was pretty confident, to be fair, going into the night. I saw a fish just into darkness, and it showed right on top of where I had my bags. Yeah, a little bit wounded. Not going to lie, you know, I was hoping for a bite. I mean, there's still chance. I can't honestly say that I'd rather be in a different peg right now. You know, if I was to choose, I would come here. You get slim opportunities, you know, you get small windows of opportunity where you can actually catch some fish. And I know it sounds silly, but I don't actually think it's cold enough yet for like proper winter fishing. This is a deep lake, and you know, the temperatures on here aren't going to be the same as, say, lakes that are 6, 8, even 10 foot. Where we're fishing is 30 foot deep. So those temperatures are going to be, I'd imagine they'd be a lot different to other lakes, and you know, it can play effect on fishing. We're not fish. We don't know how they think. It is what it is. There's nothing more to say.
Well, good morning. I managed to get in the swim, like I said yesterday, in the evening last night, and I basically just chucked 3 single baits out there, 3 hinge stiffies out into the depths of water. Like Bart said this morning, it's 30 odd foot deep out there, and we sort of heard a couple of fish out in the sort of general zone, and that's basically all I've done. I mean, to enhance my single bait fishing as such, I actually dipped my lead inside the hydro spod syrup and then dipped it in some hydro liver powder just to give it that little bit more of attraction when it goes down onto the bottom of the lake bed. Where the hydro spod syrup's so sticky, it takes on the powder really well. It's a really good carrier using the hydro spod syrup for things like your boilies and obviously single bait fishing with your leads, etc., and your rig and everything. I dipped the whole lot into the hydro spod syrup, then the whole lot into the powder, and then blast it out into the pond. It was a very foggy morning this morning, so unfortunately we didn't get to sort of see the morning shows that you generally get on Grenville. And yeah, it's been a bit soul destroying, I suppose is the word, to be honest, because we sort of thought coming round to these swims at least one bite might be on the cards, and that might still be the case, of course. I don't think I'm going to change a lot. I was considering putting a bit of bait out, to be honest, but everyone's doing that. So I just think that maybe fishing slightly different to everyone else, not putting bait out, just chucking 3 singles might snare that single fish that's swimming past over the bright hook baits that I've got out there. Still stuck with the same hook baits that I had in the cabin with the PB, 12mm bug and a 14mm bug. So 2 whites, 1 yellow is out in the pond. Just going to sit back and keep our eyes on the water for the day, really. And if obviously I see anything show in my area, then I can just quickly whip one of the rods in and chuck it in the rings of the fish showing. But that is the state of play at the moment, and fingers crossed one of these giants makes an appearance for us both.
We've only gone and got a bite. I mean, by no means it's not in the net yet, so I'm not counting it, obviously, but we've got a bite. Just sat there, bit doom and gloom as you saw, because to be honest, I just couldn't see where a bite was coming from. Just don't know what you've hooked in here. That's like, you know, you go some places and sort of like, you know what you're going to work, you know what the biggest in the lake is, whereas like here you generally don't have a clue what you've hooked. Such like, it's just carp fishing, you know, that unknown just could pop up. It could be a 20 pounder. No, my luck, it would be a 20 pounder, but you know, you could hook one, it could be 65 pound. It's just ridiculous. Yeah! Got ourselves a carp there, boy! Didn't see that one coming, did we?
Oh, yes.
Oh, mate.
Yes! That is a proper lovely one, man. Oh, mate.
Oh, hello.
That is so nice as well, isn't it? That is a proper lovely one, man.
How about that? That is perfect. Absolutely wonderful. Really didn't see where the bite was coming from, to be honest. Was trying everything in my power to get a bite, and yeah, I just sat there just wondering, and off it went, and all's forgotten. And yeah, lovely moment, really nice fish, perfect. What a great way to start the winter series. Lovely. Shall we have a quick look at the other side? There you go, there's the other side. Brilliant, perfect. Yeah, that bug bally crumb in the bags, little white pop-ups, perfect. I'm going to treat her little mouth up now for the hook hold, because Paul likes us to do that and look after them for everyone else to enjoy. And why not? I hope you all can get your hands on one of these. Perfect. Well, there you go. What an absolute gem. It's perfect. This is exactly why myself and everyone that fishes this lake absolutely loves fishing here. I mean, you've only got to just look at the quality of the fish. Every one of them, absolutely brilliant. See you later, mate.
Well, as the light's fading now, I suppose we should get this wrapped up then, Bart.
Yeah, we held out as long as we could for a bite. I just got the brolly in the bed chair just to quickly chuck in the van now, but I mean, what can I say?
Got lucky with that bite, didn't you? Always get.
No, that was pure class. So, don't listen to Lee, he chats absolute garbage. No, it's been a scream, innit? We've had a good time. You know, if Paul said, "Oh, you can come back tomorrow," like I'd be here like a shot. It's a lovely lake, and there's, you can't even question the stock in here. It's absolutely phenomenal. The fish, one thing Paul can't do is he can't press a magic button and just make them feed. That's fishing. That's carp fishing.
And it's winter fishing as well, isn't it? It's never going to be easy getting out there and trying to get, a few bites when it's freezing cold. So, you've managed to string that one bite. I mean, what a fish that was, to be fair, for a fish.
If you'd have said before we come here, you can have one fish, it's going to be £30, it's going to be an absolute corker, I'd have snapped your hand off. I'd have been like, yeah, I'll take it, 100%. If that £30 barrier, you're catching fish over that size, that's a big fish. It's not, let's be real here, like some of the other fish that are in here are absolutely ginormous, but a £30 fish is a massive carp, isn't it? And when they look like that, it's, that's why you go carp fishing. It's not all about, it's not all about just catching fish. We've had a great time, it's nice to be out on the bank for a couple of nights or a few nights together and just enjoying fishing, enjoying winter fishing. And I've always, for as long as I've been fishing, during the winter months when it's cold, you got long nights, like you got to enjoy it. It's no good like I want to go with a mate, go to a really nice lake, eat some good food, have a barbecue or have a nice curry or whatever, but just enjoy it. And that's the main thing. If you're enjoying your fishing, that's the most important thing, isn't it? And that's what we've always tried to do. We've always tried to just enjoy the fishing. And the different venues, some venues are hook a duck, and then you come to places like this and you've got to work for the reward, haven't you? But you put the effort in and you get the reward, and that's it. It's you just on to the next time. The next time we go out, it could be completely different. You could get on an absolute pile and you just don't know what's going to happen, and that is just fishing. That's just the way it is.
So we hope you've enjoyed the first of this winter series 6, and hopefully taken some of the tips that we've shown you along the way to put yourselves some winter fish onto the bank. Yes, Bob.
Bosh! Shut up, Lee.
You got lucky, boy. You got lucky.